as is stipulated by Article 9 and 2 of the Constitution of Zambia, which highlights the thematic issues. For example, it talks about morality and ethics. It talks about issues to do with democracy and constitutionalism. It talks about issues to do with patriotism and national unity, and also human dignity among them. So obviously, I took time to listen to that particular address.
Okay.
He addressed a lot of issues, but I'll just maybe pick two out of those, for simple reason because they hinge on the how best we thrive our young democracy as Zambia. As you know, Zambia is a constitutional democracy. How have we applied ourselves? Because if we look at democracy and constitutionalism, the president did pronounce himself in terms of promoting the virtues of democracy. He did indicate that actually, and I quote, allow me to quote, and I quote, it says, the government is committed to deepen Zambia's democracy and constitutionalism, and the surest way for people to enjoy rights and freedom to participate in decision making. And also the president further went on to say government has created an environment that promotes tenets of good democracy, and so on and so forth. So based on that, I want to give a reaction. And furthermore, he did actually hint to the fact that this is supported by an international institute which did a study to authenticate that actually Zambia is a thriving democracy and is third on in Africa in terms of thriving democracy. That said, allow me, I believe that for me, I must deal issues with evidence.
Okay.
For example, President HH, when they were in opposition, when they're making campaigns, their focus was they will govern by the rule of law.
Okay.
You know, they will govern by the rule of law. And that said, the rule of law is a bedrock through which government we can establish trust and so on and so forth by government, or it's a framework within which citizens actually enjoy their rights and apply themselves. So that said, let's go to realities. When President HH became the head of this nation, the first thing he did was he moved XCC, DEC. He appointed an IG who went deputy IG to sit at State House. Already in itself, that was watering down the rule of law, because these are institutions of democracy. Because what that did was the people lost confidence and trust in this institution to effectively apply themselves as the law provides. And furthermore, is that again we have seen the heavy-handedness of the police in terms of dealing with the matters. We have seen in instances where opposition are incarcerated, and are made to stay in the custody more than what the law provides. At times, even getting the police bond itself becomes a challenge. So these are some of the issues, and you see, I'm saying this because one of the tenets to thrive democracy, one of the principles is the doctrine of separation of power.
Okay.
And already we've seen the executive itself has got a challenge to govern or to give latitude to the institution of governance to apply themselves. The other aspect is that you go to Parliament today, it's a mess. The Parliament MPs.
Maybe let's find out.
Yes.
When you talk about Parliament, that's an interesting issue, because we have seen, or we saw what happened previously in Parliament last year. But Honorable, before we even come to the issues that have to do with Parliament, let me ask you this question. There are some assertions from some sections of society suggesting that there is a shrinking democratic space. Let me get it from you. What are your views regarding these particular assertions? Do you subscribe to the notion that there is shrinking democratic space?
Yeah, already I have highlighted because the doctrine of separation of power provides for the thriving of democracy.
Okay.
Okay, and already when you move the institutions which ought to uphold that, and they sit at State House, in itself already is an indictment that we have a problem. Okay, let me give an example in the case of Parliament. You know, Parliament is the highest house where we make laws for the land, for the
Okay.
good of the people. But what has happened in Parliament, we've seen unconstitutionalism in how matters are being handled. An example is in the case of UPND, okay, in the case of PF Rango, which is happening right now, where there's PF1 and PF2, and